we're talking about, I guess, a lot of people in the industry, in the frame of this chat, is to provide some insight for what is most likely potentially coming.
Yeah.
This isn't like doomsday prepping or like Y2K, but a lot of people have come into the industry when it's been like an extremely affluent period and an affluent environment to sell, provide services, and they aren't experienced in have no experience in what it's like when it's when people you throw around terms like when we're in a recession and when markets are being screwed and all this kind of stuff. And there's going to be elements of that for sure. How it impacts us, I don't think we're going to be able to predict. I guess you're on the same page as me with this, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I saw seeing a post a while ago as well. Like, I assume you got some colleagues in the States. One of your posts was like, well, it's like, the hurt is coming. People, like, some people are going to hurt or something. I remember seeing that, and I was like,
Yeah. It was my financial coach. It was my wealth coach. He rang me and he's like, "There's going to be blood in the water, Dan." And
yeah,
I was just like, "Oh fuck!" And he's a guy that you listen to as well, so you take heed of the words. But then I had to, for every day since he rang me for like the first 3 weeks, I was looking at every economic commentator, reading every piece of data I could, and then just got caught in the whirlpool of catastrophization. So I was like, cool. I need to balance the dichotomy of being cognizant that there's going to be changing market conditions, but let's actually focus on my locus of control as opposed to having fear around what may occur in the future.
yeah. I think you're on the point. I think the whole point. I mean, the whole purpose of this framing up is a lot of people have no experience providing services in discretionary services, like highly discretionary services that, for any of our group members, it's going to be nutrition coaching, sports nutrition, like nutrition consultation work. And then any like fitness professional that follows us as well.
Yeah.
I would say fitness professionals, if you're not a fitness professional who works with Dan and you haven't gone semi-private and you're still doing like 1-to-1, 2-to-1 stuff, you'll feel it the most.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And then semi-privates, nutrition consultation work, you're not going to feel it much. It might only impact like 5 to 10% of things because your average cost per week to that person and the value they get for those services tends to be, it's a lower cost and a higher value that they'll experience as a result of those things.
Yeah.
And so, and there will be ways where they can reduce, $10-15 a week and still stay working with you, where if you're doing face-to-face location-based proximity work, then those 2 sessions a week quickly become 1, which is a bigger hit, or that 1 session a week quickly becomes 0 and a cancelled client as well.
I think the big theme that I'm saying to coaching clients and broader people, and I don't believe the philosophy should change, but I just think it's more relevant right now, is how can you become more indispensable to your clientele? Because there's no doubt, and if you have a look at spending already, it's already happening, is that people will be more discerning in what they're spending because the reality of it is they're going to have less of it. And the interest rates are one part of that's being announced now. We won't really truly see the impact of that for a few more months. And in some cases, it could be upwards of 12 to 18 months when people are rolling off their fixed loans. So we may not see it we'll see a little bit of it, but we won't see the true impact of it. But you've got to become indispensable. And we have a look, there's been some over projections by some pretty significant companies. You have a look at what F45's done. So they've gone and got rid of 100 back office staff.
Yeah.
You've gone and had a look what SoulCycle's done. They've just gone and shut down about 25 locations. You have a look at what Peloton's done. So people have overshot the mark thinking that these good times are going to last forever. And they're not. But if you're delivering value and a quality proposition each and every time, then they're not going to look at you through the same lens. So, I look at this as a tremendous opportunity, because the opportunity, how can we deliver a better product, a better experience, better value at the same price as what we are? Because there's a lot of people that won't. And I'm already seeing it in the fitness space. There's places shutting up shop. They're calling it in, and it's just like, all right, well, that's going to present some opportunities for us. It really is. I've had one client already take over a gym. I've got a few more that are taking over very, very soon, because those that are delivering something that's, unique and different and indispensable are have less to worry about, and they will have more opportunity than threats in this time.
Big time. I think, that's such a good reframe. Personally, I'm not sitting here being like, we need to create this so that way everyone can be on high alert. It's more just so that way everyone can be prepared and make the best informed decision for themselves. And prepared isn't necessarily a bad thing either. I think prepared is like for the right time, and the right people. Prepared means opportunity to capitalize, like in a big way.
Absolutely. And I mean, prepared for me means like it means making sure I've got some capital to sit on. Like I've been working on I saw this coming over 6 months ago. I probably saw it coming about 9 to 12 months ago. So what have I done for the last 9 to 12 months? I've built myself a pile of capital. So if it does slow down, I've got plenty of cash flow that I'm not going to lose a wink of sleep. Secondly, I can market harder when everyone's going to freak out and curb, or I can make some acquisitions during the period as well, on a couple of fronts. So, that's part of it, the preparation. The other preparation is you got to get a little leaner. So look at your fat right now. Do an expense audit, have a real, look at everything. Everything's negotiable in this market. Absolutely everything is negotiable. And I'd be flabbergasted if everybody couldn't get their expenses down by 10%. So get a little.
I would say 20%.
Yeah. I would tend to agree with that. I went through it with a client yesterday, goes, here's every expense, Dan. And we went through it and we cut 15% out right there. And then that wasn't even making any really hard decisions. I like these times. I do. I feel like, you've just got to get better. That's the bottom line. Like, you got to get a better product, be a better communicator, be a better marketer, better sales, better in every element. And I remember the hardest time I've ever had in business was when our number one partner that we had went into liquidation. They owed us a truckload of money. We had done all of our forecasts and our hires and our purchases, obviously around that partnership, and straight away just had a real deep look at where we were spending money, the inefficiencies, the team, every element, and just, we probably had 30-40% in inefficiency that we were spending in terms of our money and our team and our output at the time. And if it wasn't for that position, then we would never have actually, put it under the magnifying glass and got to that level of examination.
Yeah. Look, I agree. I think periods of like forced examination are good. If you can get it, especially if you're not at a place where you regularly do it. Like for me, I do it quarterly, but like we were saying at the beginning, like I'm sort of a bit different like that. I enjoy it now. I think some other stuff as well, like some people in the last, say, if you've come into the industry in the last 8 years, 6 years, 4 years, it's purely just been from a place of abundance. There's been very little resistance. I started, when did I start? 2006, 2007. Around then was when I started working as a personal trainer. And so like going through the GFC, that was like what I was cutting my teeth on. You might have a different position on this, Dan, but the selling principles don't change. Um, and this is the thing, like, does it get harder? Honestly, probably not. It's just whether or not you have a like whether or not you're flexible enough to, yeah, like, and the scope of what you offer is provided that's flexible enough to allow for like someone to still work with you in some capacity, then you're fine. Because ultimately you're allowing them to just make the best informed decision, and you're really just listening to them and helping cater things to them. And for 9 out of 10 people, you're going to be a fit, depending on how like niched you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I would agree with that. I don't think the sales principles change at all. I really don't. I think it's making sure that you can confidently uncover their problem, really, really simply by actually getting to the heart of why they're speaking to you or why they're in front of you, understanding them, helping them understand what they want and getting them to communicate that with clarity, and then sharing
so important, man. So important and so underestimated. People, I just want to jump in quickly and flesh that out. People think that someone will say, oh, I want to lose weight or something like that. And they're like, cool, I know what they want. You don't, you're assuming. Spend a couple of minutes with them and get them to, and say back what they've said to you, and get them to confirm with conviction that that is 100% what they're after.
Yes. Yeah. Like motivational interviewing, getting them to affirm, asking good open-ended questions. Why and how are probably two of the best words in it that you can use in that position. Really helps you understand it, because a lot of the time, you're right, people will assume, and the reason that they share initially is not actually what they want. That's what they, that's the superficial. So you've got to peel the layers back a little bit and really get certainty on that. And once you're in that position, then you present your solution. Like there's no magic to that. In what you said rang true. Speaking to a client today, he said, Dan, we have one membership. It is 4 semi-private training sessions. His are a little bit bigger. It's $110. Should I have a 2-a-week one? Access to two-a-week sessions. I said, look, in the market that we're going in, if price becomes an objection, or access, becomes an objection, then use it as a back pocket downsell. Don't price present it at any point unless you've obviously tackled the objection, and then you can land at that. I'm like, your margin's actually better on 2 at 80 instead of 4 at the 110 anyway. So we're not compromising on a margin perspective. We've now designed something that's aligned with maybe some of the market conditions that we may have, and we're making better margin, and we're using it as a back pocket downsell. So you may need to make some little adjustments, but they're micro adjustments. You're shifting little shifts. You're not having this great big transformation. I think one of the things that you need to be in this time is you need to be a little resourceful. So, you might have a way that you're coaching right now that might be once a fortnight. You might have a 1 a month option where they're doing a non-sweat call with you, or they get a review once a fortnight instead of once a week. You can have increased margins on it, which increases your capacity to take on more members. So you may actually end up finding it being incredibly advantageous in the long play anyway. So I think that's one of the keys is, just make small adjustments to your product. Don't overhaul it. Don't go and do something stupid because you're panicking in this period. Act with a lot of certainty. Don't compromise yourself. Don't go and offer big discounts. Don't go and offer, like ludicrous inclusions because you're fearful in and around it. That's the worst decisions you can make in this space, is fear-based decisions, because you're getting caught up in the whirlwind of the media and everything else.
And I think, like you hit the nail on the head before as well. Like these back pocket, what's the term for it?
It's a Dan Henderson term. It's a back pocket downsell.
Back pocket downsell. Love it. So, the back pocket downsell that you referred to before, it was a higher profit margin per unit of time or per unit of input. And I think
Correct.
that's the thing that you should shift into. So it's a small reduction, but something that's actually more profitable per unit of effort
Correct.
as well.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
Correct.
and that's where the opportunity can be for a lot of people. So I know I touched on Australia before. The majority of our members are in Australia, but we've got members in America. Look, if you're in the US market and you're doing nutrition and you're not doing face-to-face, you're not going to be affected too much. Even if it, like, say, if it gets to GFC, 2008, 2009, like it did there again, which I don't think, look, it might, I don't think it will. The conditions are very different and the banking positions are, they're saying that they're safer anyway, but the conditions are very different in terms of like housing, how much available housing there is in that market as well. And the average like price of house and the available houses and time on market as well looks pretty good. But look, it might go there. But if you're doing a nutrition online based consultation service, you're not going to notice it too much. So if you do the back pocket downsell and it's something where you go from, for instance, like a weekly half an hour call to a weekly 10-minute, that's 30% cheaper. You've cut 60% of your time out. You're actually up per unit of time, and you might actually be able to work with more people.
And I think that's the opportunity, right? Like I've adopted that a little bit in the coaching is I've got a downsell option, which gives them less access. It's actually far better margin. It's actually opened me up to work with more people right now. So now I'm working with more people, which I love. I'm actually improved my overall profit margin. And these are the type of adjustments that you need to make. And it may end up improving your business model as I said, the best operators through this are only going to be better. They're going to be leaner. They're going to be smarter. They're going to have, they're going to make adjustments that add directly to their bottom line. And that's what you need to be doing at this point in time.
I wouldn't be too worried. And I think, look, if you come in and you're in a position where you're overextended, consider, I guess, a few strategies where you can reduce your risk profile a little bit there. And then look at these like leaning options that we're talking about. And then like these things come in cycles. Roughly every 10 to 15 years, we're going to experience something like this. There's going to be minor ones every 3 to 5. And if you can look at things, there's some good resources to check out. I remember a good book that opened my eyes to this, and I think Ray Dalio contributed a fair bit to it. It was that Tony Robbins wealth book that he released. I think it was about like 4 years ago. I forget what it was called. Do you know the one?
I do know the one. It's beefy as it's a because it was Tony Robbins' first book in like 30 years that he wrote. And he's got he got a lot of insights from some of the best investors in the world to contribute to it. Yeah. So I do know the book. I couldn't tell you it off the
I don't know. We'll have it pop up. This is what post-production's for. But basically it was really eye-opening for how well they spoke about fluctuations in markets and how cyclical things were. And so it's good because it enables you to sort of like get a more objective view and long-term view of things. So that way you can put yourself in a position to be able to, be risk averse, be diversified, have, aspects of liquidity to capitalize in market opportunities that do come about like this. Because, yes, like people might do it tough, but if you can set yourself in a good position, then these are actually times to capitalize. And like we were saying, with their opportunities. So if you're prepared, it's a tremendous opportunity. Like what we're seeing now is the property market in Australia has had massive appreciation in the last two and a half years since COVID's been nuts. Even a couple of years before then, we've probably seen 4.5 years of like some pretty crazy property appreciation in values. And to the point where they were saying, there's a housing affordability crisis prior to this, right? And now interest rates are going up. Some people may have overextended, and you're going to see sales, and people being hurt as a result of that. But there's going to be a correction with that. So now a property that was, let's just say, I don't know, $1 million five months ago, it's probably come back 5 to 10% already, depending on the area that it's in. And in 12 months' time, it might come back another 5%. So now you're picking it up for 850,000, 900,000. Whereas if you've, done it if you'd bought it then, you've paid more for it. So you can potentially come in at a little bit more of a bottom and then ride the wave up as well, depending on how you're looking at it. So it's definitely worth checking out these resources so you can have a bit more of a long-term objective view on it and sort of understand the cyclical nature of these things. So that way, when you're hearing this stuff in the media, in the short term, it's all doom and gloom and, oh, what are we going to do to survive? When in reality, it's like, oh, it's just like another rainy day.
Yes. Yeah.
We probably, depending on where you live, you get anywhere from, I don't know, 100 to 250 of them a year.
In Sydney at the moment, it's every other day. It really is. No, I think what you've said is very, very profound. Is like a lot of the time we get caught up, we're very myopic. So the media has an agenda right now and it's all doom and gloom right now, but you got to see things for the context for what they are. And we still have, like, historically, our interest rates, even with 4 rises in a row, we're still historically low. They were emergency levels. Yes, property has taken a hit in the last couple of months, and it's going to take a lot more. We were up 40% in every single major market across Australia over the last 4 years. So
ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's, contextually, it's not that bad. A lot of people have made a lot of money. A lot of people, it's not like it was in the 90s where we've got interest rates of 17% or anything like that. It's not going to get to that level either. You can already see banks are already switching their fixed rate loans on the long term, their 4-year fixed rate loans. They've already dropped at the majors by 1%, which tells you that, it's not going to go up and up for that much longer, really, based on that. They know more than us. So don't panic. That's the worst thing you can do right now, is panic. And if you've got some extra money, be on the lookout for opportunities, because there may be other nutrition coaches out there that end up wanting their business. Maybe you can bring them on as team members. There may be, other coaches out there that are stopping their spending, so you can double down on your spending. You got to be looking at it from that perspective, not from a, well, I'm closing up the shop. We want you to be lean, but at the same time, we want you to be intentional and present to the opportunities that will be that will emerge.
Yeah, because panic and anxiety affects your ability to respond.
Yes,
and it affects your vision, like your peripheral vision and your decision making. It's impaired. So if you're freaking out about things like that, then you're not going to see the opportunities as they are. So I don't know, like for me, like all these things, they're just, my perspective on them is I don't really have an emotional response other than excitement the whole time. So it's like, oh, we're in this type of a market. I'm like, cool. I'm excited for these things because these things tend to be the things that appear in this time in these periods. Like, for instance, when it was COVID, I was like, cool, this is going to be like, the industry is going to be hit hard, but we're going to this is a really great opportunity for, sports nutritionists to really like step up and show how cool, how stable and like strong the model is compared to traditional fitness models. And then in markets like this as well, I'm sitting here going like discretionaries like that. Again, here's an opportunity for sports nutritionists to show how robust it is compared to traditional models that we'd see. So I get excited for everyone. I sort of maintain this 10% above normal excitement the whole time. And I'm just sort of like, whatever's happening, I'm like, there's always that sort of like thing that's going on where I'm like, there's the opportunity. There's the opportunity. If you're freaking out and you listen to it a bit too much, you'll sort of miss that. Something I want to touch on, Dan's got to go very shortly, but something that I want to touch on as well is if you're just starting out and you're like, okay, well, what does this mean if I'm just starting out? It doesn't really mean anything. And the excitement and opportunity there is like, if you're closing now and in these conditions, then when it gets good and there's a lot more discretionary spending, you're going to kill it. So like, this is where you actually want to cut your teeth and do your reps.
I agree. I think it's, absolutely. I mean, I just think, if you're starting out right now, don't even have that within your sphere of information. Just right now is just attack it. You've obviously got energy for what you do and passion and joy, and get in front of as many people and see that energy transpire. So I wouldn't even take heed of it. I wouldn't let it prevent you. If you've been sitting on the fence, do I jump into the market or not? Jump in with both feet, and you'll never look back. You really won't.
And that's it. Like, and look, this is one of the careers where you don't have a fixed $350 a week overhead in rent.
No.
You're not renting a space. For a lot of you, all you need is your laptop, so you can keep your other job and keep your stability, and you can just do this on the side and then just get your reps in. So
exactly.
like you can do so. So anyway, thanks heaps, Dan. Really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, man. Always great to chat.
Thanks, bro.